Good afternoon and welcome to the WBDL online induction event. For those people that don't know, WBDL is work-based distance learning. So welcome to the event. My name's Tony Clark, and in a few minutes I'll be introducing our panel, and hopefully we'll be able to answer all your questions or queries that you may have, to give you some reassurance about the possible programme that you join later on. A little bit about myself, first of all. I'm Tony Clark. I'm a senior lecturer in logistics at the University of Lincoln. I have a military background and I've done lifelong learning throughout my military career and post-military career. I'll be acting as the chair today. And as you see, we've got a panel. We're hoping to keep it quite relaxed. We're hoping that you'll engage with us in questions. You'll see that you've got a comments box somewhere on your screen where you can write. That will magically appear in front of us, and then we can address those questions for you. For those people that are watching later on or watching the recording, if you look at the bottom of the banner, you'll see work-based distance learning email. So rather than ask questions live, if we don't answer them within the panel today, then please feel free to drop the question to the emails in that banner below. Before I start, I just wanted to say a little bit about my own personal beliefs in work-based distance learning. A million years ago, I was a private soldier in the army and I had a very good boss. And my boss identified, he saw something in me that they clearly recognised as some potential. So they pointed me in the right direction for education and higher education. And throughout my career, I've kept going and kept going and kept going, and eventually got to the point where I wanted to be, which is teaching in a university. So what does that really mean for you? Well, I would argue that the idea of lifelong learning, full education, is that arbiter of opportunity. It enables you to do what you want to do in the future. So I do these events for the passion of working in the university, but also the passion of sharing our knowledge and making sure everybody can get to where they want to get to. So that's a little bit about me. As I say, I'm the chair for the afternoon. As I say, keep it nice and relaxed. And what I'm going to do is just go through the panel membership and you'll see everybody on the screen in front of you. I'll briefly introduce them and then let them talk themselves and introduce themselves. So first of all, I'll start with Emily. Emily's a senior administrator for the organisation and she's looking after us today. Emily, say hello.
Hi everybody, my name's Emily Burrows. I'm the Senior Administrator for the Business Development team at the Lincoln International Business School. I work really closely with the Work-Based Distance Learning team and I'm a past student myself, so I've been through studying a degree at Lincoln, which I thoroughly enjoyed, so I would highly recommend. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. I know we've got sort of, I'll welcome Eric. Eric's a current or very recently graduate student of the university. Good afternoon, Eric.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Fantastic. So I'm Eric. I'm the representative. And yeah, I had an opportunity. I think the story that you just shared about your boss, recognizing the potential and going to a school to really empower yourself. I think that's what Lincoln is and that's what it represents. It gave me an opportunity and I think it can give you an opportunity. Welcome to the new world.
Thank you, Eric, very much. So Eric's going to be the voice of the student. So any questions about student life and experience, we'll ask Eric to answer on our behalf. But from an academic view, I've got three colleagues with me. The first one I'd like to introduce Fiona. Fiona is the Deputy Programme Leader of the Charter Management Degree Apprenticeship and is a lecturer on that apprenticeship and also in work-based distance learning. Fiona's on our panel because she has a focus on reflective and people-centered learning. So she gives us one extreme, which I'll compare to a colleague in a few moments, that's very systems-driven. So Fiona, would you like to say a few words about yourself, please?
Thanks very much. Yes, hi everybody. My name's Fiona McManus. So I've been at the University of Lincoln since 2015 and then specifically with the business school since 2017 and as a lecturer with work-based distance learning. You would meet me on this degree in the very first module, maybe in the middle on one of the electives, and certainly at the end. And my experience in business is quite varied within world's leading bank and other business organizations. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Fiona. And then the opposite of that spectrum away from people is a very systems-driven engineer. And I'm going to introduce you to Tony Smith, who, as I say, has got an engineering background, but also a military engineering background, and also has this focus on systems rather than people. So we've got two extremes within our panel so far. Tony, please say hello.
So yeah, hi, my name's Anthony Smith. It's Tony Smith as well, but there's a number of Tony Smiths at the university. So I tried to disguise myself as Anthony. As pointed out, 27 years engineering experience, and I've been with the university as well, roughly since around about 2016 as an academic. So I have a bit of a background in both elements as well. So when you come onto my core elements within the engineering management program, I'll be around for those ones and for the final module as well. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tony. So far from an academic perspective, we've seen leadership and management with Fiona as a people focus and systems and process driven through Tony. And now I'm going to introduce you to Larry, who sort of sits somewhere in the middle. But Larry's joining us tonight because he has this passion for distance learning, supporting students, and certainly getting students to the end of their learning journey. Larry, please say hello.
Hello, hi. My full name is Olanrewaju Olaoye, but I'm more known as Larry, happy as Larry. And in terms of my background as regards online teaching, I've been teaching online for the last 13 to 15 years. And in terms of, the University of Lincoln, I joined this university in 2010 when I enrolled on a PhD. And then the PhD was also involved some research as well. So the position then was graduate teaching assistant and research assistant. And then at the end of my PhD, I was then, given a full-time employment within the university. In terms of, the WBDL, in terms of the work-based distance learning unit, we are a unique team, passionate about what we do, passionate about ensuring that our students succeed. And if there is nothing that you are unsure about, okay, if there is nothing that probably is feeling you to be unease, I think a promise I can give you today is that we love working with students, we love co-producing knowledge with students, and you will definitely have a great time studying with the University of Lincoln. So that is me in terms of a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can see why I've described Larry as passionate. So that's us, everybody. So that's introduced to the panel. So what we thought we'd do for the last sort of 10 minutes or so is we've posed 3 questions for ourselves. And the first question is going to come up now. And I believe Fiona's going to take the lead in answering that for us. So Fiona, what is a work-based distance learner, please?
All right. So a work-based distance learner, I would suggest, is typically a mature student, usually someone who's looking to perhaps upgrade their operative skills to a degree. So they're very likely going to be an experienced professional who is quite motivated and would like to be able to study while they're working. So to be able to run their studying and they're working together. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Did anybody else want to mention anything from the panel, please?
So, drawing up on what Fiona has said as regards what a work-based distance learner is, okay? Having that in mind, we are always mindful of the schedule of our students because we know that you are not the conventional 16 to 20-year-olds, okay? We know that most of you, we know that 99.9% of you have a full-time job. We know that most of you have a family. Most of you have different commitments. Hence, we aim to ensure that, we are flexible in terms of our approach, in terms of the content that we deliver, and in terms of your deliverables as well, okay? And one of our unique, competitive advantage that separates us from, the huge market is that, one, we give extensions, should in case the unexpected happens, few days to your assessment deadline. And then you are also able to interrupt your studies. But then in terms of what we expect from you, which is what I will be talking about soon, okay? We actually expect you to come to the program, with a mindset to learn, right? With a mindset to be open-minded, because in your classes, in your groups, right? In your tutor groups, you will be working with not just civilian students, but you'll be interacting with military students, some of who are based in the UK, some of who are probably based, in Saudi Arabia, in the United States. So this is an inroad, an opportunity for you, okay, to experience a life-changing, education.
Thank you, Larry. Can we just go back on the other question, please, if that's all right, Emily? And I was just going to invite Eric. Eric, you are a work-based distance learning student. So what do you think would typify you?
I get emotional when I get asked this question, right? And I think it was more of a question that came from one of the learners in my team. Asked me, why did I want to study? And for me, it was really not because I wanted to, shine and put a certificate on my wall. It was mainly because I needed a different type of thinking. I needed to analyze and critically analyze data that is growing, and how do I scale with that data across, right? And that for me was a very good observation throughout my learning career and learning observation through the courses, was to really reflect on what you are actually absorbing as a content and really critically analyze that information and really use that, because I think we live in the world where there's lots of information, and you need to start criticizing that information, whether it's information that you can absorb for yourself to really have a learning journey and really empower some of the people that you work with to really get to the objectives that they want. And I think for me, that made a huge difference, because I think from the learning that I observed from what I actually had in the past, and to what I've learned from Lincoln, was it was such a gift, and it was really a right timing for me, because it allowed me to really have a purposeful time of absorbing information at the right time and making sure. Hello, can you hear something?
You're clear.
Oh, I thought I lost you. So for me, this has been a life changing, and it's been a life changing to the team that I introduced them to the linking course. And I can tell you, any person that goes through this journey, when you sit with them, they will tell you it was tough, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric. And there is some noise in your background, Eric, just for your information. But that's really an interesting point, because what Eric is reflecting in the conversation is while you're a work-based distance learning student, you will have to balance this work, life, and study as well. So often we find ourselves in different environments, different contexts, and trying to get the study wherever we can and whenever we can do that. So that was really interesting about this idea of flexible learning, the non-traditional approach. We're looking at students coming in from a range of areas and a range of backgrounds. And also the point from Larry, I think, about building up a community of learner, which Eric reflected as well, the idea of working together. It's not just you alone. There are groups of you in cohorts as well. So that's really good, everybody. Thank you very much. And that leads me on to my next question, which I'm going to address to Larry first of all. You've partly explained that because of your passion, Larry. But what will be expected of those distance learning students, Larry, as you meet them first of all on the first module?
So in terms of what we expect from you, okay, first thing first, we expect you to be truthful in terms of, your writing skills, in terms of what you know and what you do not know, okay? And I will tell you something, right, from experience, okay? Most of the students that join us, they end up confiding in us that, oh, Larry, do you know what? It is 5 years, it is 10 years ago I went to school last, okay? So we are not surprised if you tell us the truth that, oh, the last time you've taken a formal education is 20 years ago. We will definitely believe you. But do you know what? We know that each and every student, they are a raw diamond, okay? Waiting to be harnessed, waiting to be fine-tuned. And our role as tutors, as academics, is to work with each student, okay, in helping them to realize, their ambition, whether it is about, the degree that they want to, achieve, or whether it is about applying what they learn, okay, to their work context. So in terms of our expectations, we expect each student to be truthful to us in terms of what they know and what they do not know. And based on that, we tend to, work with each student in helping them to develop the skills needed to succeed in their program. Now, you will be surprised and you may want to ask that, so how do we do it? Okay, within the university, we have a range of support units within the university. We have departments linked to, how to develop academic writing skills. We have departments within the library that is basically focused on helping students to understand how to search for literature. Okay, we have departments also that offer career advice as well. Okay, so in essence, we are like, the point of call that you come and you then get, and then we then try to, we try to. So in engineering, if something is faulty, okay, you tend to take it to a technician, and then the technician would diagnose what the problem is. So we tend to work with each student to identify their learning needs. We then try to signpost them to different units within the university. But be rest assured, okay, that we are here to help you realize your ambitions and your different targets as regards the acquisition of a university degree. Okay, so again, in terms of what do we expect from you, we expect you to be truthful in terms of what you know about academic writing and what you do not know, in order for us to be able to design and recommend, a good learning plan for you to help you succeed on your program.
Thank you, Larry. Did anybody else want to add to that? Fiona, thank you.
Exactly what Larry's just told you, and part of that also, I think acknowledging what we know and what we're going to learn is really important. What we'd really like is your dedication, your drive, and your proactiveness. So because you're more mature learners, so when something you need to know more information, you come and you ask us, you approach us, because we're looking for that interaction with you. So we really would hope and would like you to be proactive in your learning. In terms of sort of dedication and drive, that you look at your time management. How are you going to carve out the time to be able to put your studies in place? And then linked to what Larry said about honesty, that when you are experiencing challenges and perhaps you need our support in whatever way that might be, that you let us know. So again, you're proactive with your learning, but also proactive in talking to us about things that you might need, so that you can fulfill the deadlines that all of your modules will have, and so that we can best support you in doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. I picked up some really interesting points there from both of you. Thank you. I think one of the first points was nobody's born a degree student. So there is a learning curve for everybody. So everybody enters at a different level of their learning. And some of that traditional learning curve may be very steep for some people, or it may be shallow for others. But I guess from Larry's and Fiona's discussions, there's prepared routes for you. It's not an unusual position to be starting off from a very novel view of looking at what higher education is and how you address it. I thought that was very interesting as well. Truthful came up several times, but I wonder if it might be that there's an element of being truthful with yourselves about fully accepting what you don't know, what you do know, and then sort of tying those together with that learning plan so that you come up with a clear reflection of where you are and what you're doing. That's not to say as a negative way, but it's to say, here I am now, how do I get to where I need to be? What tools and support are available to us? And I think Fiona and Larry indicated there were various tools within the university for you to go to and help and support, in addition to the named tutor that you'll get for every single module. And I thought that was really interesting. Thank you. And I guess the last point I picked up on was not being alone. Although it's work-based distance learning, you don't have to be that individual in a room studying on your own. There's an opportunity to engage with your tutors, with your colleagues, and with your peers at the university as well. So I think that's perhaps an important point to make about what you might expect from the university and expect of yourself. Thank you. We're coming on to our final question before we open the floor up, and I'm going to address this to Tony. Tony, you're actually an alumni of the program itself, so perhaps you could give some really clear insights into why choose a University of Lincoln work-based distance learning degree.
Hi, Tony. Yeah, thanks. One of the things I chose was I was coming to the end of my career and I wanted to be a bit more competitive in the job market. And a degree normally gets you onto that sort of inroad to a door that might open. So that was one of the options I had. During a recent graduation ceremony, it said, one of the graduates indicated that he'd recently been promoted off of the back of being a chartered manager, as well as gaining his degree. So what our work-based distance learning degree programs bring you is a number of options, not just a degree. So for example, if you're on my engineering degree program, you'll get a level 5 diploma in leadership and management. You'll get a CMI, chartered manager, as well, and then the BSc in engineering management as well. So it's like 3 in 1. So we think it's competitive for the prices that we offer out for both civilian and military participants and potential applicants. We invite you to have a look at other providers as well, because we all know it's a competitive world out there, but we think we are pretty much competitive with our price, given what we put into our degree programs. Likewise, you don't really do any additional work because we've done all the mapping as well. So everything you do is all combined into our assignments to reach that end goal. Right. So that's one of the things why I think we are in a good position to offer what we do. Likewise, we've been doing this for about 20 years. All right. This is nothing new. This has not been brought about by the pandemic. We've been working on this since roughly around about 2001. We initially started with RAF Cosford and have progressed out and developed a number of suites with a number of different modules as well that are relevant to the current time as well. So what you'll find is our electives tend to mirror what's happening out in industry. And I think Eric, being a former student on the program as well, could probably add a little bit more to that. And how he selected his elective maybe could be a focus there as well. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me? It's better now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think for me, when I selected my elective courses, was basically around what is the skill that I need now to pursue for the business and for myself, all right? So, and I was looking at what is the current need in the business, and I looked at mentorship. And I think for me, mentorship, I always regarded it as if it's like just, yes, somebody can mentor you. But when I did the research, it had a lot of things that really was eye-opening, because what I assumed mentorship was, and what after I've done the research, it was quite a very good observation. So today I can safely say within the organization, we are running a good mentorship program, but it was based on the research that I've done through Lincoln and really observed that there are other pillars that we are not really implementing within our organization. So from that observation, it was really, really good. It really did empower our business, and it really helped me to understand what to really have a good mentorship and what that impact is to bring the new people that are going to come behind me as future leaders.
Thank you, Eric. That's really interesting. And thank you, Tony. Did anybody else want, Fiona, Larry, did you want to add anything at all?
No, not for me.
Fiona, you're on mute.
So sorry. A bit of a classic thing to do, isn't it? The only just thing I would add is when you're looking at what qualification you would like, and as Tony said, there's a lot of competition, and you should have a look around to help you make your decisions. Something that is quite unique perhaps to us is that the degree is designed to interface with your role. So when you are doing an assignment, it's not for the sake of doing an academic assignment. You're actually looking at what do you do, what's relevant for you, and so your projects and so forth are actually based ultimately within your workplace. So I think that's something that's useful to consider when you're looking at what qualifications are out there and what you might like to do, and the fact that ours is mapped very closely also to the workplace. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. I was just going to wrap up there, but before I do that, just remind everybody that should you have any questions, please post them in the comments, and then we can get to them and answer them. Actually, using a phrase from some of my military students, Fiona stole some of my sandwiches then, just as I was about to wrap up. So I thought it was an interesting position from everybody, and Eric and Tony, about the idea of breaking work-based and distance learning down. So there's that concept of it is work-based, it's about your organization, it's working in your own organization. And for me, that offers an ease of assessment because you know the organization relatively well, but also there's some softer skills there about, as Eric's indicated, about building your reputation in the organization and making a tangible contribution so you can raise your profile. And I think Tony mentioned earlier on about getting recognition and promotion going forward. So I thought those were two interesting positions. Also, I felt it was quite good that Tony started off saying these are the things you can get in addition to your degree. And then he listed various topics and qualifications. But then in contrast, Eric said, earlier on, Eric was talking about how he'd learned, how he'd manipulated data, for example, to make his idea. So I think it's interesting that we may think about there is the core topic. If you're going to learn engineering, you're going to learn engineering or logistics or HRM. But also there's those softer skills in there, isn't there, about critical thinking, about developing your ideas, about how to make an argument, perhaps. So I thought all those softer issues coming forward might be quite interesting, particularly because I've stolen a phrase from Tony. He talked almost of a transition qualification. If you're moving from one job to the next or want to move into a different area, those softer skills are often more valuable or as valuable as the core skills you'll pick up, such as logistics. And I thought that was very, very interesting. Thank you, guys. I guess that's all from me. Did anybody else want to sort of add anything to the top of that before we open up to the audience online?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. So everybody online, you've got the opportunity to put your questions in there. I think I've got the first question. Emily, help me out. Where am I seeing the questions? There you go. From Sarah, what entry requirements do you need to join? I'm interested in business leadership and management. Who would like to take that one on first of all?
I think that might be the new term for business management when we go to validation, Tony. I'm not too sure that we do that one currently on the work-based distance learning program. If you're interested in the business management degree program, it would be a level 5 entry as well. So because we're top-up degrees, we normally require people with a level 4 as a minimum, alongside some form of professional body membership. Likewise, if you've got a level 5, which could be a foundation degree or a HND or something similar like that, roughly around about 240 credits worth, that will be enough to get you entry on. Likewise, you can always email the Ask WBDL or the MPG one, and they'll point you in the right direction or direct you to one of us who will be able to assist you further.
And if I could just add to the top of that, Sarah, if you're after a named business and leadership and management program, then it's something we don't offer yet, but we're about to offer. But if you're interested in a business program that has leadership embedded into it, then that's certainly within our area of expertise. It's about the naming of the qualification, I guess. But Tony's already answered your question about entry requirements, I hope. So hopefully you've answered your question, Sarah. If not, please come back to us and we'll fill in the gaps. Thank you very much. I think Doug is the next question. If I could take the lead on this one, just because it's about operational capability, if that's okay. So within our programs, embedded into them is operational capability. And I guess you mean development of operations and development of people. So there's different ways of approaching that. But certainly we have operational module and operations management module, for example, embedded into the program. One thing we haven't talked about yet is you can bespoke your learning journeys with the university. So there is a core suite of modules. So I'm from logistics background. So you'll do critical inquiry skills. You'll do leadership and management, which is where Sarah's question can be answered. We would then lead you on to a core topic, logistics and supply chain management. And then there's a series of elective choices that you can make. So you can make your degree suit the purposes for it. So certainly for Doug, operational capability and development is something that we engage with and develop. Did anybody else want to add to that at all?
Yeah, again, that looks like a non-work-based distance learning program. I think there might be a difference between what's currently on offer between the face-to-face element and the actual distance learning degree program as well.
Thank you. Doug, again, if we haven't answered your question, please feel free to repost. Back to Sarah. Sarah, I guess this is the question that Tony introduced for entry requirements. Tony, do you want to pick that up?
Yeah, sure. It's we don't really specify a particular professional body membership. It's entirely up to you as to what you align to. So, for instance, if you were an engineer, which is my program, you could be a member of the Institute of Engineers, or you could be a mechanical engineer, or you could be Aeronautical Society, could be anything like those. So what it happens is that you align to a particular organization or profession, and you see what fits you best. What we do ask for is that it's at the appropriate level of member level. So if there's an associate element, you probably won't be at the appropriate level. So if there's like associate, member, fellow, and maybe chartered, something like those, associate wouldn't be so good. So BCD, what's that?
We're not quite sure what BCD is, Sarah. APM, Association of Project Management. So I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
So if I could just interrupt you, Tony, if that's okay. So Sarah, it would depend on your entry route. Each student or each application is treated individually. So when you come to us with your application form and your previous qualifications, we'll assess them, map them against our own expectations, and then put you into the appropriate level of the degree. So for example, APM, project management, would identify you've got a background in professional, but we'd have to look at what level you are, where you are, etc., to make sure we've got the right fit with you. So there are certainly professional qualifications out there that we look at, but it will almost be done on an individual basis. I hope that sort of answers your question, Sarah. There are some other questions in the box up there. I think I've got one from Natasha. This is, I guess, this is a military-oriented question, so I'll take the lead, and people, please drop in if you want me to, if you want to. So, Natasha, we've been working with military students for a long time, and many of our team are ex-military as well. So we have a real understanding of the military life cycle and what you do and what you don't do. So we have two sort of routes of flexibility. The first one is over a short-term flexibility. So if you're on a 2 weeks, 3 weeks deployment that's unexpected or sent away, then what we can do is offer a short-term extension to the assignment that you're facing at that particular time. But again, it's short-term. Should you find yourself in an unexpected situation where you're deployed unexpectedly, then what we can then do is offer an interruption of study. And basically what that means is you pause your study at that particular time, you leave, go away, do whatever it is that you're going to do, whether that's career, life, or anything else that's exciting. And then when you're ready, you can return to that exact point and continue your learning journey. There's a little bit of delay while we get you to join different cohorts, but that's weeks rather than years and months. So hopefully that's the two routes that we can offer flexibility with. And I was just going to say, you can interrupt for up to 2 years, but we wouldn't encourage you to do that. We'd encourage you to use that relatively tactically based on the situation that you find yourself in. Did anybody else want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll come in on that, Tony, as well. And it's not just military based as well. It can be any learner with any element of that's factored into their life. So, for instance, we've had people with illness have to take an interruption. They've taken up to about 1.5 years, come back to program, successfully completed. We've had a really poorly individual who managed to complete program and made us all proud as well, although we're proud of everyone who passes through anyway. But for that particular learner, it was quite a life-changing event as well. So, although it is catered for military and you tend to drop at a moment's notice, it's for everybody. You don't just need those sort of elements. It could be something simple like moving house, or you've got something in the house that's being fixed that you need to sort of take a month off of, we can have a look at that, indicate what is the next cohort that would be behind you or the next cohort behind that one, give you the option, and then we'll approach you just prior to coming back to see if you're in the right position, right frame of mind to come back. If you are, you continue program as though you've hardly been away. Thanks, Tony.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in if you don't mind, right? And I will share this from my side because it's something that happened to me, right? I think everybody would be aware that most of the technological companies were retrenching, right? And being part of my team, we're going through a lot because I had to say bye-bye to some of my team members, and we had to have emotional intelligence, and we were going through those, and I had to take that interruption. It was quite a very intensive time, but Lincoln creating those type of interruption, it was because it wanted to cater for such situations, and those unfortunate times, they do happen. But when you have a university that's got an interest for you to be empowered, they create that space and they empower you so that you can come back ready, mentally ready to really go up again and give it a bash and make sure that you get the qualifications that you need to be empowered.
Thank you, Eric. I was just going to go to the last element of Natasha's question, which we'll sort of come back to now, Natasha, if we can, please. Even if you are, wherever you are doing whatever you're doing in the world, there's still an opportunity to do what we call asynchronous or synchronous study, meaning you can do live study or you can do study at your own time and your own pace, the asynchronous piece. So I can give you personal examples of I've had students as far afield as the Falklands, Afghanistan, Malawi, and I'm sure most of the people in the room can give similar examples. So certainly there's an opportunity to keep studying. It doesn't necessarily have to be face-to-face or online live, but certainly you can study in your own time and then get feedback through a different means, for example, through personal contact with your tutor, who may respond by email after you've posted your responses, for example. So hopefully that's answered your question, Natasha. If not, please feel free to post again. I think there's a question from Carl Dixon. Good evening, Carl. Our immediate response to me is, I don't think it matters at all, particularly. There is an opportunity to get a CMI qualification at the back of your degree, depending on which one that you're studying. So that would be my only question for you. So we would offer you, I think it's a CMI level 5, somebody's going to correct me if I'm wrong, and chartered management. So there should be no real significance. In fact, it may be good preparation for the study that you're going to do on your program. Anybody else want to add to that?
I can add just a little bit. So as Tony's saying, it really isn't a problem. We do reflective writing within every module, and you'll know if you're already studying for a CMI qualification, that's a core part of it. But where we put in that CMI to then be able to apply for it, it's from the reflective writing. So it's dual purpose. It's part of the module. If you're going to go on and apply for that CMI qualification on the basis of that, brilliant, that's there already. But if you're not, that work is still going to be a part of the submission that you hand in. So either way is good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'll jump in as well. Carl, it's a good question. None of us would really say that double study is a good idea. So I wouldn't be studying that whilst doing a degree, whilst trying to survive by doing a job and living life as well. And likewise, you'd probably need to tell us prior to application as to what it is, because most CMI qualifications, what I see, are roughly around about 39 credits for a diploma, whereas the equivalent for a HND is 240. So as you can see, it's considerably under what a normal level 5 would be sort of looking at. But again, it's like Tony suggested earlier, we take everything on a case-by-case status. So, email in, see what else you've got, and then we can make a decision based on what we see. So that would probably be what I would suggest.
Thank you, Tony. And with that, Carl, Tony's looked at your entry requirements rather than dual study as well. So that was an interesting perspective. Thank you. Again, Carl, if there's any more questions, please feel free to post. I think we're on to Kay now, is it? Thank you. I'm guessing, because I don't know our website very well, but somebody's going to correct me, that the price is for your entire study period. So there's no extra cost at all. So once you've paid the price, it will be to get you to the end of your learning journey. Okay. I'm getting lots of nods, so that seems quite comprehensive. But again,
Yep.
Kay, if that hasn't answered your question, please feel free to post.
Can I chip in on that as well, Tony? There are interest-free options as well, so you could be in touch with the finance department who will indicate what sort of payment plans they've got. I think we also qualify for student loans, so if that's something you wish to do, or it was a channel that you wish to go down, again, that option's available. But again, we don't normally deal with the finance element, so our admin team would point you in the right direction of what's available to help assist paying for your course fees. Okay.
Thank you, Tony. And the next couple are sort of Sarah and Doug confirming that we've answered their questions or we've answered them. And then we come on to Colin, I think. This is probably for me, Colin, just because it's a program that I know very well and it's the heart of everything I do. And logistics is the most important thing in the room. So we can ignore everybody else, Colin, now and focus. Colin, I see you're a staffy. I guess you might be RLC or various roles within the Army. That's absolutely fine. I don't really know what the question is, but we have many people studying with us in the military. I would probably suspect about 80% of our logistics students are military, ex-military, have just left or about to leave. So there's a strong cohort in military there, which is very good for you because we have a great deal of experience in military logistics, but also it might be a great opportunity for you to network yourself, find the colleagues around you in your collaborative group that are studying and working, and you can build up your own sort of group of study helpers to develop those ideas and concepts. But clearly we can do that online or distance, or you might find it very valuable to do it in the location that you're in. So hopefully that sort of answered your point, Colin, that you want to study the degree. But again, very happy to answer any specific questions if you've got some. And I think we're on Colin now again.
I'd say he was qualified by virtue of his rank as well, Tony, because part of the deal with working with the military for so long is that we know certain ranks align with certain qualifications that the city and guilds afford. So we know it's a professional recognition award in logistics that you would qualify for by being a sergeant for at least 2 years. So that we take that into account as well. So rather than make you buy a certificate, we don't make you do it. We already know that you would be qualified. So as a sergeant, after 2 years, you would qualify, Colin. So as a staff sergeant, you're pretty much available to come onto course as and when you wished.
Thank you, Tony. Interesting. It's reminding me, going back to Sarah's question from earlier on, actually, when we look at students, we're looking at sort of 3 particular points, really. The first, because we're work-based distance learning, is that the student is in a workplace where they can practice their topic that they're exploring. The second is that they're in a managerial role of some kind, so they can practice the management elements of the degree program. So that's the rank conversation that Tony's just had with you, Colin. And finally, there's of having a level 5 or level 4 qualification, depending on which entry route you're coming into the degree program on. So that would sort of go back to Sarah's question and perhaps Carl's question as well about what a level 4 is, what a level 5 qualification is, and using that to enter our program. So that's sort of the generic headings that we've got, but clearly we look at each individual student as they join the program or enroll on the program, so we can put you in the right direction and get you to the right course. Saved in the nick of time by Harry asking us another question.
So, Harry, it depends on your current qualifications and the certifications that you have already. So, what we normally do is when you apply onto the program, okay, the admin team, they will evaluate your certifications. They would then send your CV and your application form to the program leader, myself, and also the bachelor's degree program leader to see if you are maybe if you have enough qualification or work experience to go either on the bachelor's degree or to start from the foundation degree level 4 or level 5. Okay, so depending on the certifications that you have and your work experience, okay, we're able to use that in determining whether you go on the level 4, level 5, or level 6.
Thank you, Larry. And just to return to Harry's question, Harry, as we say, it's very much up to the individual. Without knowing the rest of the details, it's difficult. But Larry is the program leader for the Operations Management Foundation degree. So if you want to ask the question via the emails below on the banner and signpost it to Larry, Larry will be able to pick that up and answer your question in more detail outside of this once we've got all the details to answer your question correctly, if that's okay. But clearly, if you want to ask another question, Harry, feel free to do so.
So,
question?
Yes, is actually asking how the courses are administered. And I think this answer is actually useful to everybody within the platform, okay? So in terms of how the programs are administered, okay, we have 2 types of modules. We have 15 CAT point module and 30 CAT point module. For the 15 CAT point, technically it requires 150 hours to complete the module, and the module lasts for 6 to 8 weeks, okay? Then for the 30 CAT point module, bigger ones, the module lasts for about 14 to 16 weeks, okay? Now, in implementing the delivery of these modules, we tend to run online sessions, okay? And within the life cycle of every given module, you will have the opportunity to partake in 2 online sessions, okay? On the average, 2 online sessions for every module, okay? And then aside from that, okay, now mind you, if you are not able to attend the online sessions, the webinar, which is synchronous, the recording will be will be made available to you by your tutor, okay, if you're unable to attend, okay? And then aside from that, there's also the co-production of knowledge within the discussion board area, within the module. Some tutors will use that to, present tasks that should be completed, okay, and then students will go there to complete the tasks. Now, aside from the use of discussion board, there is always the draft submission point as well. So within every module, okay, at least you will submit a draft, a formative draft, okay, which your tutor will then review and then provide you with feedback upon, okay, which you can then go on to develop further before you submit your final assessment for the module. So in terms of your learning, in terms of how we make learning happen, okay, it's not just about, it's not a one-way approach, okay? We tend to co-produce knowledge with our students synchronously during the webinars, okay, 1, 2, through the use of discussion board, 3, through the use of formative tasks, okay, which you will upload to Turnitin, and then your tutor will then give you feedback on your draft, okay? So in essence, we are not just leaving you there to be on your own, okay? You will also have the opportunity to create WhatsApp group with your fellow online students, okay, to communicate on a day-to-day basis as you deem fit in terms of your learning, okay? So in terms of what the day-to-day of the course looks like, that is what it looks like. And for me, on Friday, this coming Friday, I'm having a webinar with my group of students, okay? And the webinar is something I always look forward to because that is when you put name to the face, okay? That is when students discuss their key challenges, okay? And then we are able to discuss that, okay? So that is how we tend to administer the courses, Harry.
I think another point that he's got to make there, Harry, is that we do have a timeline as well. So Eric will confirm this as well, is that each module that you move through will give you the exact end date, as in when the submission is due. You work towards that. As Larry's pointed out, you get those draft opportunities as well to sort of engage, get some feedback, and then maybe have a discussion with your tutor on if there's any sort of clarity that needs to be given on it as well. But we do not offer a continuous sort of submit when you're ready. We do have an end date. Eric, you're probably able to answer this better than any of us.
Absolutely. I think we have an opportunity, and I'll just give you an example, right? I started with Fiona. I'm sure I pestered Fiona a couple of times but it was such a pleasant conversation, and I really, really enjoyed our conversations, right? Because you may think that when you start the course, you are all alone, but they are there. They are studying with you. They are going through all the emotions with you as a tutor, and I mean, they really prepare you and guide you to really get to execute exactly what is required per the course. And I think if you put a tutor next to yourself, that is the key pillar of you becoming successful, because you are continuously talking to them, keeping them close, and they know where you are in terms of your headspace. So Mr. Landre, the first time I met him, it was like when he spoke on the first meeting, I didn't know he was talking with so much energy. I'm like, and I was just coming back from work. I'm like, I need to have whatever that is having. that was that was me the first time. But I told my colleagues, hey man, that was the first course when we kind of like came in with different students from all over the world, and but we're so energized, and that was a good part, because it was just merely really making us to meet the face of the people that we're going to be working with for the duration of the course, and it was really good. And I can assure you, the tutors in Lincoln, big ups to you guys, because I don't think without you guys we'll be successful throughout these courses. So for me, that's like a biggest plus for me, and I think you must keep up doing the good work that you guys are doing.
Thank you, Eric, for the kind words. And Eric and Fiona are both gleaming there, so well done. We'll make note for their future promotions. and I'm not quite sure how much they've paid you, but well done anyway. But hopefully that sort of answers those questions, but particularly about the profile and the journey of the student for the program, with Larry giving you a very detailed example of life on a module, and then Tony indicating that there are timelines and there's a linear approach where you study one module, finish, move on to the next module. But remember, there is that interruption and flexibility in there as well, should you need to pause and carry on with life before you return to your studies. So I'm going to open the floor up for any more questions. We're on our comment box and there's none left. And Emily's given me a prompt there are no more questions. We've been going for about an hour, which is probably the maximum people can spend online without their minds wandering. So we're in a position to sort of begin to draw it to a close. But I'll just wait for a few minutes in case there are any questions from the floor. Nothing seems to be appearing. So just to surprise the panel, I'm going to go around them and ask them to say one sentence why they think, oh, sorry, somebody just popped up with a last minute question. I think that's Harry there. Would that perhaps sit better with you, Larry, in answering the question? Larry, you're on mute.
So in terms of the application process, okay, there is an email address you're scrolling on the screen. Please send an email to that address requesting for an application pack, okay? And then once they send you the application pack, you can then complete the application form, okay? And afterwards, we take it from there. Now, in terms of Tony's question, in terms of probably final words from us, okay? My final words to you is this, okay? First, thanks ever so much for coming to this session, okay? Number two, thank you to you all for the questions that you have asked, okay? And then finally, just in case you have any doubt, okay, please throw that doubt in the refuse bin right now, because you are extremely good. If you are not good, you will not be where you are currently, okay? And as individuals, as members of staff, we owe it to you to help you to achieve your life dreams. If it's about you getting an higher education degree, we are here to support you, okay? So be in no doubt, okay, that what you see at the University of Lincoln is what you will get, okay? So please, right? Just tell yourself that you can do this. And as I always tell new students, once you start a degree program, something has to change. You've got to push yourself, okay? Nothing comes easy, okay? Nothing comes easy, okay? But you being successful and you being where you are today, okay, it can only get better, okay? So please do not have any doubt in your capability, no matter how old you are, whether you are 20 or you are 60, okay? In as long as this art is kicking, okay, you can achieve anything you want to achieve if you set your mind on it. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you, Larry. I'll go to Tony.
I can't follow that. Is that one sentence, Larry? Oh my word! It's a journey. You know, it's a journey, and you start off. Whether you've been at school recently or it's been 40 years since you've been to school, it's a journey. Each one's bespoke to everybody. Each learner's different. So if it's something you wish to do and it's something you aspire to do, or we've had students before that have failed in their first attempt when they were much younger and have come to it at a later stage in life, give it a go. Join the journey with us, and we'll see you to the end. You know, if you've got that drive and that commitment to finish, it's achievable, very much so, and it could be the start of something else. All right, we've got a couple of doctors with us at the in this panel here, and you know they've done their journeys as well. So have a look, give us a go.
Thank you, Tony. Before I come to you, Fiona and Eric, Carl, you've put some notes in the box there. Absolutely fine. They seem very sensible solutions. Julie works for the enrolment and the MPG desk, so she'll make that marrying up conversation with you. So she'll be able to answer those emails or forward on to Larry or whoever it may concern as well. So hopefully that closes that loop down for you. But I'm going to come to Fiona.
Hi, everyone. So in a nutshell, you've heard so many good things. When you are thinking, if you're thinking, I'm not sure, perhaps I find the idea of going back and writing challenging or anything like that, alongside of those core skills that we're teaching you, we have all those support mechanisms in place. So it's not just about going straight out there and writing up your papers and doing your degree. That's awesome as your final goal. If you're worried about those steps in between, we offer very, very strong support. And it can cross into a range of different areas. So do take a look at that as if that's something that's important to you. If you've got questions in that regard, come back and ask us about it. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Fiona. And it's only right and proper that we let the student have the last voice. Over to you, Eric.
Look, I wish, just to my last comment, for me, I think the genuine thing for a one way to describe Lincoln is it's a very good journey for one. If you really want to really empower yourself, it's a really good journey for yourself, for mentally wise, to really go through that, right? And it's really life changing, right? I will tell you about myself, and I always use a story around myself because it's something that really empowers other people that really want to study and also see themselves to be improving into the work-life balance, or they want to do something else and achieve something that is beyond. I think what Landry was saying in terms of we are beyond. We have a lot of capability that is untapped. And I believe as learners, we can only need somebody that can handhold us and move us to that next journey. And that's Lincoln for me. I was fortunate enough, I studied at Stellenbosch University, and they told me about Lincoln. Trust.
Eric's frozen on that last conversation there. So, but we get the point from Eric. I'm just going to close it all down now. I've seen lots of people saying thank you, and that allows me to return the thanks. Thank you for giving up your time. Thank you for joining us. We've enjoyed talking to you. We've enjoyed answering your questions, and they've all been very sensible and very wise. And we hope you'll take the next steps in your learning journey. Clearly, we'd like you to join Lincoln University, but as my colleagues have said, there are other institutions out there. You should explore the ones that best suit you and meet your aspirations and aims. I'm going to close it all down now, by returning to the video clip that started the presentation. So you'll remember there was a video clip in the last bit with students celebrating and throwing their hats up in the air at graduation. What I'd like you to do is picture yourself at that particular point. And many people get there. Degrees are not impossible. They're not easy. They are hard work, but they are beneficial for your rest of your life, the rest of your career, and indeed that self-actualization from Maslow's pyramid, which we probably all know about. So I'm just going to finish on that. Thank you all very much. You've got the email addresses below if there are any more questions. We look forward to answering them online. But apart from that, have a great evening and enjoy it, and try to look forward to the weekend if you've got the weekend off. Thank you all very much.
Cheers. Bye.